See how the waters came down. See how the sparrows drowned. Wishing for my home to be anew. Just wanna go home. Let me go home. Well, I feel so lonesome. I wanna go home.
In 2011, the entire community of Little Saskatchewan First Nation was given 24 hours notice to evacuate due to a man-made flood. But only half of the community members chose to leave. The other half stayed back.
The provincial government of Manitoba, did they ever warn us of this flood coming this far? They did not warn us. They knew very well that the portage diversion, what they were doing, creating that portage diversion, putting that water into Lake Manitoba goes through the Fairford River structure into Lake St. Martin. So the provincial government can't tell us that they didn't know that downstream they were going to damage and flood our lands.
Isabella chose to stay back because of her husband's job, despite her house being underwater.
The water level was up to here when the flood waters came in. It was like this for about 3 months, and then after 3 months it went down to this level, and this is where it stayed.
My husband and I packed our stuff. We thought we were just going to be gone for just a few days. They told us that they were moving us to Gimli. We lived there for 2 years.
Tractor.
Darling, you gotta let me know. Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till the end of time. So you gotta let me know. Should I stay or should I go? One day is fine and next is black. So if you want me off your back, well, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
Many people missed the evacuation window because they fought the flood.
Ni poka na bat me kaunti mata se go mi ne no kiwine sa no gia ondamenta na on ka kipitste ginda sina no kiwine sa na pia kip mat tu wat wis kune kan tigi mini do pan ga be ya beting ka me a sigi da kana se me ke go mano kiwin ki spin mi mata no ma tigi ta onti mata se go ga wi ji ku ka nda se onti se tigi.
Because they didn't leave, they were told they weren't entitled to a house to replace their flood-damaged home.
The other reason why I didn't evacuate also was because we were told if we evacuate we had to go on unemployment insurance, and I didn't want to go on unemployment insurance. I have a job to do, and I wanted to keep doing it, and now we're told we can't get houses because we didn't evacuate, and I don't think that's fair to us. Our houses are moldy, and some of them we shouldn't even be in the homes.
But when I lived there in the reserve, I had a lot of bleeding nose and headache, and there was blood clots coming out of my mouth. That mold really infected me. Was told to leave my home, my family and me. Round the big town we gotta roam, but it just not home, living far away. When I feel so homesick, I wanna go home.
Here, this is all mold, all the way through. Yeah, and you see all the way over there, it's all the way up the wall, 8 feet up the wall.
The respiratory system is affected by molds and other particles that are caused by the flooding. The internal part of the ear, the middle part of the ear, really is like the respiratory system. And people can experience problems with their equilibrium. It's just difficulty walking. And if you're an older person or an elder that might have had arthritis that before the flooding it was not too bad, you didn't need a cane, suddenly you might need a cane or you might need a walker.
Wilma left her home to live in a hotel. She's been struggling with mobility problems and diabetes ever since she was evacuated.
I didn't like the way they fed people, just about the same thing every day. Sometimes I eat just soap. I couldn't control my sugar.
Community members are confronted with food that is high in sugar, high in carbohydrates, and high in fat, and they have no other resources. So their diabetes again is complicated.
As of October 2015, Wilma and her daughter moved over 12 times since they were evacuated. It has been very stressful for them.
Well, I was like, I wonder how long we'll have to be here, because they didn't give us a time limit how much we gotta be evacuated and to go back to our home.
People are moved from one hotel to a motel to a hotel, and sometimes without their participation, suddenly the system moves them for some reason.
In the end, Roman, it's only about 10 by 12, and it's in a dresser TV, según la washroom, Apitupangis Tawa, Machayan. Mostly you sit on that bed, can ask you to nothing to do.
Wesley and his wife Mary Jane stayed in a hotel in Gimli for 2 years before moving to Winnipeg for Wesley's dialysis.
And the complication rates like heart disease, dialysis, loss of limbs, all of those kinds of things are higher in First Nations communities. And we know some of those reasons are really around structural racism. The floodings were socially constructed, right? It's not a haphazard occurrence that those waters would go to that particular area. And what's sad is that people are not gaining access to resources because of that.
The outlet and the inlet into Lake Manitoba was built in the 1960s to prevent damage to the larger communities in Manitoba. The First Nations people on Lake St. Martin are without question the ones that have suffered the most by the high flooding, which is why we moved on the emergency channel.
I was a school bus driver for 38 years, and when we got evacuated, I lost my job. I don't have a job now because of being evacuated. If I was at home, I guess I would have been working still.
Wesley Sinclair was the pastor of the Little Saskatchewan church before he was evacuated.
And forsake not the law of thy mother. He ate church. You know, it could have been taki be much to God. The Gotsumaki Dyke was it too now, Peace Northern Dyke was at the back of the church. They could have saved that church.
tenga kuman tati kwe. Mà sa cũng có chim bằng những mẫu ta tiếc mà chim mình ăn tàng ăn mình chỉ thấy quê ăn nó sẽ có cái xe ăn mà bên này đâyวันนี้ก็quê cái ăn cái nào cũng ở bên chính cái quê gì mình có chỉ xe ăn những cái mà vậy rồi ta cũng có tiếng đàn.
Ray also suffers from cancer. He requires a colostomy bag, which causes additional hardship.
Ahí sigue, mami no man chian está ni te hace una bana ahí. Ngo tenga con dai na mi ya, ti woni ba ni ma ba ahí. Ngo tenga ko search sa ni ni da. Ti mami no man chian, ta na meta ma ba fo. So ngan da na sa na meta ya, na mi ai ne.
Johnny and his family were evacuated to an overcrowded home in Winnipeg. Despite yearning to go home, he needs dialysis 3 times per week, which is a complication from his diabetes.
When I think about it, I want to go back home. To go back home, but go back home once in a while. We want to see the house. Then you have been going.
They say they wounded my soul. They say this land is their home. Dig up my ancestors' bones, but they can't silence my song. No, they can't silence our song.
Oh my gosh, man. The smell was so bad when we came into the community from all that water, the stale water and stuff like that. It smelled like a lagoon. And to begin with, that lagoon was overspilling over there. And there's guys trying to make a living off fishing. Are we eating fish that just ate your feces?
Mary is 92 years old. She's the oldest person in her community. Her traditional diet has contributed to her longevity, but her traditional lifestyle was disturbed when she was forced to evacuate from her home.
In a small room, we have to eat what they cook.
Albert and his family stayed home. They eat a traditional healthy diet consisting of country foods.
And you just lay your meat down there and light a fire on the bottom over here. They go taking it out, right away they eat it. Had about 2 big pans of meat like that, probably about 50 pounds. They ate it up in 24 hours.
The band office has been condemned due to mold and structural failure from rotting. Jerry, the education director, has been working under these conditions for over 4 years.
I don't spend as much time here now. I'm at the school a lot of times, most of the time. But I will come and do a little bit of stuff here, but you could feel it in your throat after a while. The big thing was for the people that stayed to have some kind of normalcy for the kids to still have school. To me, that was a priority for the community. If they're going to stay, then at least for us to have the school open. Stressful for everybody, for the teachers and the kids and the community itself, and it's basically destroyed the whole community.
This is where I'm from, this is where it started. This is what becomes of the broken hearted. This is going out to those departed from a life so young it was barely started. This is going out to the mamas crying 'cause the son's gone home with.
It's hard to be away from home. Like, it's not the same. I really love my house. I took care in decorating my house. And we spent a lot of money renovating our home.
Last year, we had to deal with them.
The water tables have risen to ground level. The snakes are flooded from their natural winter habitats, forcing them to move inside people's homes.
Especially late at nights, sometimes I can't go to bed, and sometimes I don't go to bed till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep. I got too many worries in my head, like all the problems we're facing. Around September, I got very depressed. I didn't even feel like doing nothing. I just laid on the couch for about 9 months. How depressed I was, I didn't feel like doing nothing at all. The government thinks that the people that are on the evacuation list are, from what I heard, they think those are the ones that are depressed. It's not like that. It's all our people that stayed here are depressed too because of all the things we have to think about.
Probably one of the greater impacts of the flooding of the communities is the impact on the mental wellness. Displacement occurs when people have to leave their homes, or even if they stay in their homes and half their family's gone and there's no social structure left inside the community, right? When communities and families are displaced like that and they're separated, people become lonely. They want to be around their loved ones, and that can lead to depression, really clinical depression. And clinical depression itself leads to poorly controlled diabetes and other chronic diseases that people experience. So the multiplicity of things around mental illness is very real.
Health Canada provides only 4 hours per month of mental health counseling to all of Little Saskatchewan. It is not enough to deal with the stress from flooding.
The biggest concern is, I would say, it's lonely living in this community. Very lonely. There's nothing to do. There's absolutely no recreation in the community. Absolutely nothing. Tell me one thing that's going on. The only thing we have here is VLTs. I even quit going there because all it does is take your money.
Recreation is important for well-being. Baseball was a big part of the community before the flood. There were also beaches for swimming. The baseball diamonds have long been flooded over, and the beaches destroyed.
I used to be very active in golf. I used to love the game so much. All the golfers are gone to the city, and they tell us we have to move to higher ground, and that's pretty depressing because I don't want to move. Nothing to look at there, nothing but bushes, and here we have the lake, and spend some time there, and it's nice. Watch the birds. Well, we can't go for a walk along the lake anymore because the contractors that came in here, they took a track hoe and they made cuts in along the lake shores. And where they made the cuts, the water's so deep there now. We used to go walking along the shore and go and shooting ducks on the way, and it was fun. But I haven't done that in a few years now, and because of all the cuts that were made on the natural lakeshore.
I exercise. I walk a lot. I wouldn't feel safe to walk the streets here.
People are dying too is because they're homesick, and I always get calls from our people that are unevacuated. They feel like suicidal because they're tired of city life.
I don't know when we'll be going home. I don't really like living in a city here because I'm being away from my grandchildren.
Sports and recreation is one of the things that we can't even do here. Our soccer fields, our baseball diamonds are all destroyed. There's no proper walking path in the area. A gravel road, a vehicle drives by you, you're all full of dust. Who wants to walk in those kind of conditions? We can't swim out there in that lake anymore. That lake is destroyed. You try fishing in that lake, the fish are that we pull out of our nets sometimes have these big white things on the side of them, like on their skin. They're not scales, so I don't know what they are. There's growth on them. We can't eat off that lake. Can't even swim in that lake anymore without breaking out.
The federal government and the provincial government and the city of Winnipeg, I think there's some accountability they have to actually construct systems to support people a lot better, more resources to help them. This is a big travesty in Manitoba, and it needs to be told and exposed.
Muting magkasabi no kisikak kispin manachin nango memtikus yoke kutimusko nimisa wendan tinabe kinke gu awethin takte beski kiot.
Half of the community is still displaced. They are struggling with health issues such as mental illness and diabetes. The people who chose to stay back are dealing with respiratory illness, as well as contaminated food and water sources. They are living in homes that are snake-infested and moldy. Depression and loneliness are rampant for all the elders as they struggle to heal their wounded spirits.
They say they wounded my soul. They say they